car order. It's always been car order.
I strongly disagree.
That's the way it is. Ripped him out through the window in a nice way.
Just so I can go down and drink a carton while everyone punches on.
Just pisses me to tears. That's the worst thing you can do.
You shut up, you hack. Talking about boat ramps, this is what I wanted to get through from the start. What he said.
Oh, you just been an idiot.
And welcome to Chumming Up Podcast, the fishing, spearfishing and ocean adventure podcast that believes the cameraman never dies. I am Squirrely, and with me is fishing photographer, videographer and camera guy, Kurt Wilson. How you going, big horse?
Hey, Squirrely. How's it going? Thanks for having me here.
Nah, too easy. It's good to get you on. This seems to be your time of year, the salmon run down south. Exciting shit up north.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's our best weather month.
Yep.
You know, April, May, and unfortunately, it's the best weather month for the whole state. It'd be nice if it was split.
Yeah.
Could spread out the work, but at the moment, it's you sort of get pumped, and then everyone laughs at me because in the middle of it, I actually just want to go and catch salmon by myself.
Well, we'll get into that, but firstly, like everyone go to your page when after you finish listening to this, see all the cool shit you've filmed with all the cool people you've been with. First off, I want to know how you got into this, because I think like everyone else that's listening to this, we assume that any marine videographer, photographer gets into it the same way. You know, they're down the beach, they've got a long lens camera, they're filming chicks, someone calls them out, they're like, nah, I was filming the fish, and then they've got to dedicate their life for the next 3 decades proving they're not a creep. Am I on the money, or is it...
Look, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if most people did it. I started as a fisherman. I've fished since being a little kid, always had, I guess, a camera. You know, there seems to be one person in the group who gets thrown the job of taking photos, and generally that was me. And then I guess GoPro started and sort of wanted to, I guess, capture it. This is, you know, sounds like what everyone else does. And then probably got really into start doing some cool fishing. You see it and then you want to be able to replay it. And that's where it sort of kicked off. And I think, you know, everyone's got a camera these days, and I might have just picked up mine marginally earlier.
Yeah.
And the first person, I guess, that fishing trip, fishing rods, just camera was Eddie.
Yep.
And I sort of reached out. I'd done a few charters with him before, like, you know, edited up a sick dubstep inspired charter day, like edit from their GoPro as everyone does.
Yeah, that was the thing back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I reached out and said, look, it's cool if you say no. I know this is probably a bit unusual. Bought a camera, keen to come out. I'd love to film some stuff. Don't expect to, you know, be paid or whatever. And then didn't reply for like a week. I was like, oh, well, there's that opportunity. That ain't going to happen. Yeah. And then he writes back. He's like, yep, keen, sounds good. When do you want to come up? And went for a heavy tackle. Probably, where are we now? It's probably 7 years.
Yep.
So if you were up there, this was off the back of Cyclone Riley.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And the typical theme for heavy tackle is the most fucked weather you can imagine.
Yep.
So my first day, you know, we won't say professional cameraman, but cameraman on the boat. There's full deck of clients.
Yep.
Riley and Wes, because it's heavy tackle, and just curled up in a corner and spewed the whole day. And like I do get a little bit seasick, and I was just a mess.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nowhere to sit if there's clients, and they did not give a shit about me.
Yeah.
And despite that, when we raised a couple of blacks, shot some stuff, and sort of, I'd almost say, got a bite and a couple of cool jumps, edited it up into, you know, little clip, and Ed's like, man, we don't have footage from the deck like this. Like, this is sick. When do you want to come back?
Yeah, right.
And it sort of just kicked off from there.
At that point, while you're like fresh off the seasickness, were you just like, yeah, fuck off, this is an awesome opportunity, or were you like, I don't know?
Nah, so when I got off the boat after, like, I'd say probably my worst day on the boat, first thing I thought was, oh, well, here's this opportunity gone.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling Eddie that night, I was like, oh, I'm not going to come out on the boat, tomorrow. Like, surely it's a bad look with clients, right? Bring someone along and they just spew all over the gunnels.
Yep.
I don't even think I made it to the sides of it half the time. And he's like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm like, man, it's a bad look. He's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. I'm like, man, I can't do it to myself. He's like, all right, no worries. And pretty much has been a sucker for the punishment
Yep.
since then. But I didn't really imagine it would, I guess, turn into a full-time job.
Yep.
So, yeah, I just pretty much spent as much time as I could. I'd take holidays, go up and film with Eddie, and sort of tried to work it out. And yeah, in the process, not even when I'd fish with him, but in the process, became somewhat obsessed with marlin fishing at the same time.
Yep.
And yeah, just ticked over from there.
Yeah. Well, I'd guess Eddie Lawler's not a bad bloke to know when you're obsessed with marlin. It's probably a good in. Because you fished with them before you started. Was that just booking them as a charter? Is that how you met them?
Yeah. So I remember seeing them, I knew of them, would have been just from the internet, or there was an old Fishing Wild magazine, which was pretty glamour, and knew about Contenders because I wanted a Contender 21. So knew about that. Probably getting popular at the time. I thought I was I wanted to be a GT fisherman. So watching some of their old movies was sick.
Yep.
And remember being out in the Gulf, be over 10 years ago now, sort of just stumbled there with mates. We just did a bit of everything, and we're just looking, going, oh yeah, that's Eddie and his Contender just ripping across. And it's like, oh, that's Josh as well. And it was October.
Yep.
And then we're like, sort of going like, what's going on? And then sales. Yeah, like ripping around and just going, holy shit. And basically just being in the middle of it, not having a clue what we were doing, but seeing doubles, triples of sales and just thinking that was the sickest thing ever. So booked a charter, I reckon, the year later.
Yep.
In November for sales, and got closer to the time, and I'm like, oh, yep. So chasing sales, right? It's like Blue Marlin, heavy tackle Blue Marlin. I was like, oh, I was pretty keen to chase sales. And he's like, oh, yeah, there'll be sales out there. And I'm like, oh, maybe we'll do a split, or like, I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was no desire to catch any sailfish, which I've picked up a few of those tricks now.
Yep.
And we did 2 days. My wife came out. They got her onto a fish and dropped it right at the boat. And that was pretty disappointing for her. I was sort of like, oh, well, I've caught Blue Marlin. Caught one, that's cool. And then she's like, oh, I still really want to catch one. I was like, all right. Saved up the coin 2 years later. And yeah, we ended up, I think Eddie still, I'm going to say, complains about this day. We had a day where we caught 6 at 2:30.
Yep.
And then we asked to go in.
Any reason, or just?
Oh, I was sick. She was sick.
Yep.
I didn't understand their desire to catch as many as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing
and
them
the opportunity on the day when you've got 6 to go, let's get 10.
Yeah, and so Wes said, the joke is that I'm owed them 10 years of filming for missing out on a 10 fish day. And yeah, I think I asked Eddie once in the bridge in front of another client as a joke. I'm like, who's your most disappointing client? It's like, you. So yeah, it sort of just kicked off from there, and caught him. Obviously had an amazing day, but fell in love with filming them.
Yep.
If you're a fisherman, they do everything cool they do, and they do it better, I think.
Yep.
I can.
Well, because you've filmed Big Blacks over East, that was what I was going to ask you. When it comes to just filming,
yep.
Do you find much of a difference, one better than the other?
Yeah, so I I did 30 days with Corey Hart on Hardcore Charters. He's got a 40-foot. I'm going to forget the type, but it's a classic old boat. It's 50 years old, beautiful, and he catches the fuck out of him. He catches heaps. Everything you hear about, gentlemen's hours in Cairns, put the baits in at 1 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. If we've got bait, we've got baits in at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
Like, as soon as we've got them, we're fishing. And caught a few. I think we caught 50 something while we were over there. But I didn't find the dead bait. The dead bait trolling's not as exciting as teaser fishing.
Yep.
And I think in the end, people go over there to catch the big ones. It's all about the big ones. But I reckon I'd still take Exmouth Blues. I think that teaser fishing is what gets me going over the giants that they have there.
Yep.
And I guess I didn't see a true giant either. So
yeah.
But I did 30 days and I was looking forward to getting on the Blackwatch in Exmouth and running teasers.
Yeah, right.
So,
Well, you've also done some filming where they've done the fly fishing for them as well.
Yeah.
Is that, I'd assume, like fairly similar as far as the excitement with the switch, or is it more or less or
I
finicky?
reckon when I say I didn't fall in love when I caught them, it happened filming. I reckon I can pinpoint the day. And we had guy Jeremy Block, who's from Kenya. And I think he ended up, or he had caught the black world record with Eddie.
Yep.
He was on the boat to catch blues. It was blue season and loads of fish. But, the difference between seeing him and hooking him is wildly different. And I remember first ones had Riley and Wes, Wes teased it in and you're watching the thing instead of just, it's there. You can see every part of it tease in and then the cast thing eats and then just 10 seconds later, like, gone.
Yep.
It just hits the afterburners. And for those who don't know, if you're fishing IGFA on fly, it's 20 pounds your leader. I use a 40-pound leader for salmon.
Yeah.
And it's a 300-pound blue marlin.
Yep.
So the next day, we had Muzz, one of his old crewmen, on board. And, still pretty... It's hectic. I don't understand totally the program. He's seeing these fish for the first time. And same thing, teased in, cast, this thing just comes across, eats, got it on film, and then once again just obliterates the leader. And Muzz is on the back deck and he starts smacking the transom, and I'm thinking, holy shit, the guy must be Devo. He's just dropped another one, and Muzz is like, oh, that was the coolest shit in the fucking world. I remember being like, fuck, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Now that the intensity's yeah, he's fucking right. And I reckon that was one of the turning points where it's like, I can enjoy all types of fishing, but you give me a day left and give me a blue marlin.
Yeah, right.
That's the one. So I think the fly stuff's is sick. You have to tease it. You have to. And done a couple of days since then, and going up for got about 5 days in August, which I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
For smallish, still world record size black marlin on fly.
Yeah.
So, I'm super keen to do the fly stuff, but you don't fucking catch many of them. I've never seen one. I reckon in 5 or 6 days, I wouldn't have seen one connected for more than 60 seconds.
Yeah, right. That's my type of fishing, though. I'll be honest. I just want the hit, and then I don't want to reel them.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of being the cameraman.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find that as well? That's, I think, people who don't film or haven't tried to film or take photographs that fish a lot assume they see more that would make a good video or footage just by assuming what you see is what you'd be able to get. But that tends to be I've just messed around with cameras and shit ones and GoPros and that. And what you see when, say, a Big Blue Marlin hits, you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Translating that to what you've actually filmed, most of the time, it never lives up to it.
Yeah. And that is the ultimate goal, I think, for me, is every time, you go Blue Marlin or whatever and you see something and you can't tell someone about it if they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You're kind of trying to describe something that just doesn't do it justice. And I think if you good, you can show it through a film. Like, there's a bit difference between a GoPro mounted on the roof and like some of the super tight stuff you see where, fish comes up behind its slow motion, opens its mouth, fills the whole frame.
Yep.
So I think it definitely, you can do your best to try and capture it.
Yep.
That's sort of how I look at it.
Yeah. And then do you, like, I think I commented on one of your, or some video you put out a few weeks back where you had one of the, I think it's a Blue Marlin on sunset jumping out.
Yep.
And like, I think the shot's just amazing. I guess just because it's different just with that light.
Yep.
Is that something you're always looking for, or you're not? I mean, obviously you can't make that happen or care.
Yeah.
And then you were saying like poor lighting.
Yep.
But I don't know, maybe just because I've seen so many videos, like doom scrolling at work, of Big Marlin jumping on bright blue days, seeing something jump with the darker silhouette and shit, just, oh shit, that's right, they're that cool in that aspect too.
I think Blue Marlin, say Exmouth, you just don't get so much opportunity of the late days. Cairns, you do a lot because they bite.
Yep.
Like well into the afternoon. We basically caught them at night over there. But that's the thing with fishing. You don't get to control when you catch them.
Yep.
Like, I had some fish just recently in Karratha, which was half an hour before there's no light. And the guy's going, oh, the lighting's going to be epic for this. And I'm like, for this clip, we don't need like stylized epic lighting.
Yeah.
I'll take it, but I'll would have rather than another time. Like, we literally just could have had full sunlight for this. So
yep.
It's never there when you want it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
So,
all right. Do you want to get into, so you just got back from Karratha?
yeah, so I just went to Karratha for 3 days and fished with Buzzer and RT. Did a bit of stuff for Halco there. And, just fished basically flat out for 3 days. So, boys really sort of turned it on. I feel like there was no downtime, which I love. There was a few car park sleeps to maximise fishing time. But it's unreal to get back up there.
Yep. And just demersals on jigs for...
Yeah. We did some demersal stuff, did a bit of everything, did some night GT stuff, and just fished. So it's good. I used to work up there at the gas plant when Brenton College, so Buzzer was my supervisor, and I realised I hadn't been up there for 5 years. So felt good getting on the plane in thongs.
yeah.
And not steel caps, and towing a camera bag instead of a tool bag. Yep. So no, it was pretty cool. Yeah, the fishing up there is unreal.
Yep.
Just there's so much there, the variety and.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit underrated to be honest with you. Like, a lot of people don't sort of look past Exmouth really.
Yeah. Well, Buzzer said something on the last day. He said, we pride ourselves on our variety.
Yep.
And I was like, give me a second, grabbed my phone, noted it down. I'm like, I want to do a video that's just around this. Like, they catch everything, and they're driving around in, Buzzer's got a contender 25 of the second station, but they've not elitist. They'll catch everything.
Yep.
And that's sick to see and super enjoyable. And you can do 4 or 5 different types of fishing in one day. So, very cool. I want to get back up there and, sort a bit of a plan and do some more filming and get over to the Monties as well. And
Yep. Have you been there and filmed there or just fishing trip?
yeah, we did a trip, exploration trip for the Monster. They were going to be the liverboard charters back in the day with Eddie.
Oh, yep.
So we did a trip over there with a contender and a game boat, and we pretty much just explored the islands. And then I went back for one of those sailfish trips.
Yep.
Where we brained them. And caught just
Huge
unlimited.
numbers.
Yeah. So it was pretty much, none of the trips was always something, but that trip, it was seemingly like as good as it could be.
Yep.
So yeah, never struggle to see that many sails ever again, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that because I want to go back there and catch more.
Yeah, true. But
So, yeah, been lucky enough to get over there. Yeah, had some good fishing.
Yep. And then I've seen your page is just full of salmon. What's it about salmon?
Well, I grew up in Dunsborough
Yep.
and fished forever. Always been a bit gear obsessed. And I remember, I don't know when it'd be, but you say 20 years ago when GT fishing started really kicking off, like, got that visual side of it and the gear was sick. Like this was right as, I guess, like that first Stella, that first Saltiga came out. But for someone who's in their teens, not accessible.
Yep.
We don't have cars, we can't drive
Yeah,
up, we
yeah.
don't have boats, we just, chewed through magazines and there wouldn't have even been YouTube.
Yep.
And it just seemed like this, pipe dream, but the dream. And, it sort of filtered down and we had salmon and, times of the year they can swim around and they're a cool fish. They jump, they fight hard and they'll swim around in schools that are like 20 ton.
Yep.
And accessible. Like the first, we used to ride our bikes down.
Yep.
Fishing rod in hand, and then sort of started catching them on stick baits, and they can do some pretty cool stuff when you catch them on stick baits. And
Yep.
I think that never really lost that love for it.
Yeah, the excitement.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit of home as well. And now it's turned into a bit more like I could go out for a day and literally just sort of tease them and watch them go spastic on the surface and not pull one in. Same as marlin.
Yep.
But now there's a bit more exploration. I like finding big giant schools of them. And
Yep.
then, they still... I'm convinced that if you found a way to sort of market them to people overseas, like fly fishermen,
Yep.
Fly fishermen in America who catch redfish, like they go nuts for them.
Yep.
So, yeah, these days I've sort of managed to convince a few companies to pay me to film what I'd probably actually do anyway.
Yeah.
But you'll generally find me, trying to get down as early as possible, try and beat the crowds, find some schools, film them, and then, just a bit of a sort of a fun comfort fish after that.
Yeah. Fuck. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So with like the companies, how does that sort of work? Do they sponsor you or they just reach out to you to see if you can film something for them or?
Yeah, so sort of got access to some pretty healthy spots along the south coast. Obviously have half an idea of how to catch them and, can put someone else onto them and then can sort of... You can never guarantee any fishing when filming, but there's so many of them you sort of can and know where they're going to be along the coast. So
Yep.
last year I reached out to a few companies and then I do a lot of work for Halco at the moment and pretty early on I'm like, so you got cash for salmon or... And yeah, they sort of stumped a bit for a few movies this year, which was good because it's probably the best days salmon fishing I've ever seen. So
Yeah, right.
the days that you dream about, and then I can't even believe he said it, but the angler that I had was like, it's almost not as fun when they're so easy to catch and there's so many. I'm like, you just shut up and
Yeah.
just keep fishing. You don't know how good we've got it.
Yeah.
You just keep casting.
Yeah, that's it.
So no, I think they're super cool, and I've said quite a bit. I could happily film blue marlin and catch salmon for the rest of my life, and be happy.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else laughs at me though.
Yeah. Well, I'd seen you also, like I've seen one where you got into the water with the spawning school of pink snapper. Is that something you do more of in the water, or not as interested, or?
I think it's just another skill set that I look at, the underwater photography.
Yep.
It's almost like I want to master, having a camera on land before I take it in the water.
Yep.
And, say for marlin fishing, it then takes you away from, the deck, and
Yep.
been on the boat with Al McGlashan doing it, and it's an absolute process.
Yep.
And it's worth it. Like, you look at some of his photos and videos, it's obviously worth it. But I think at the moment, I still love it on the surface.
Yep.
As far as jumping in, and, there was a shark on that school. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
That doesn't worry me.
Yeah.
I grew up diving, and I grew up in Dunsborough. So
Yeah.
it's hard to be scared of sharks and continue diving down there.
Nah, well, they're proper ones down there too.
Which I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah.
So, touch wood,
Yeah.
my luck, I'll see one and I'll be the angriest fucker alive.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm in the boat.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen one out from Exmouth, just a
A
white.
GW?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the boat,
Yeah.
just on charter, and yeah.
Not on the whale shark boat?
No, it was a fishing.
Okay.
charter.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Yeah. But even that, like, it wasn't a big one.
Yeah.
Like, I think nearly everyone overrates their
Totally.
length because of how girthy they.
They can't all be 20-foot Channel 7.
Nah, that's it. It's yeah. And I think that's the thing though, because like I always think tiger sharks are such a girthy
Yep.
shark, and when like I've caught baby tiger sharks and you grab them and their strength compared to a reef shark or something like that is just tenfold.
Yeah.
But then I seen this thing and it was probably 4 meters underneath the water,
Yeah.
but just the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up for like how girthy
Yeah.
it was, and it just swam around like the back of the boat. But
They've got, you pick it up in drone footage, not of mine, but their tail wrists are real fat, hey?
yeah,
That's how that's the easiest way to pick them up.
yeah, bit like the sortie compared to a
Yeah, exactly.
marlin sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just full power.
Yeah. And always cautious, like when you say they're swimming around the back of the boat, it's like, what are you thinking of? Like, what's going through that little pea brain of yours?
Yeah,
Because it doesn't take much for them, buy you in half.
yeah.
I always got it described to me as like when you're a kid and you don't know what something is, you pick it up. They don't have arms. They've got teeth.
Yeah.
That's it.
Buy it through.
Yeah. So I'll see one. I have no doubt. Just prefer to be on the boat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Yeah, you want to be. I've always wanted to be in the water with one, but not know it's there, and then I get out, and then everyone, it was a big white.
So you don't even want to see it.
I don't want to see it.
Would you cage dive?
Yeah, I'd cage dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you feel, would you be happy cage diving, or would be like, this is, odds are stacked in my favour. This isn't the same.
Yeah, well, I think I'd definitely enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just, seeing something in the water is cool. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we should be doing it. Just because I've seen shark behaviour change in a fishery just from how we've, like, used to shoot them.
Yeah.
Like, not whites, but just sharks. And so they used to be scared of boats, and then we stopped shooting them. Now they're not scared of boats.
Yeah.
So I know that feeding them from a boat encourages them to come to a boat.
Yeah.
And I've heard marine scientists say it doesn't. They're also the marine scientists that get paid to dive with them and chum them up. So
yeah.
it's not in their best interest to tell the truth on that one. So,
Yeah. Are they the same marine scientists that say we don't have a shark problem?
yeah,
Yep.
the exact same ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, it'd be cool to see them in a cage. It'd be cool to see them in open water. I just am afraid that I wouldn't be the man that I'd want to be. Like, that's the ultimate test, isn't it?
Yeah. Where you're supposed to, you have all these thoughts and you're like, all right, so you got to stand up, be aggressive and you're like, yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
And then when push comes to shove and you do that little like dog paddle kick along the surface.
Yeah. Suddenly your wrist starts flapping around. Like the panic sets in.
Yeah.
Even if no one else is there to see it.
Yeah.
You can never live with that.
No, that's it.
You're better off. Like, at that point, you probably just head at the shark and say, fucking take me, mate. I can't live anymore anyway.
Yeah. My best mate in Dunsborough, who is afraid of sharks, actively afraid, stopped diving because of it.
Yep.
They were off the Cape in his boat fishing and glamour, like absolute glamour, clear water. And he's got this 4-metre great white that comes up and it does the, it's super curious and just starts circling. It's like a big alley boat. They've got nothing to worry about.
Yep.
But close, like within a metre or two of the gunnel. And then he's shit scared of him, totally scared. And he's telling me about this over the phone. He's got this like air of confidence and he goes, mate, I was busting for a leg. So I just stood on the side, waited till he come past, pissed on its head.
Pissed on a great
And
white.
he goes, I am the king of great whites now. And it's always made me laugh because of how terrified he is.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do
Yeah,
now.
so if you're wondering who is the king of great whites,
Yeah.
Chris in Dunsborough.
Yep.
Never seen one since. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's it. They learn. It's like a dog. You just got to put them in their place. In my territory, mate. Yeah, right.
No, he did say it was big. He said they're at 4 metres, so the healthy size.
Yep.
I'll see one.
So say you go into the filming, diving sort of thing.
Yep.
Would you want to get in cageless and film one?
Nah. So this happened with the same guy, salmon fishing, because that brings him in.
Yep.
So we're at Castle Rock fishing and we're watching and big shark coming towards us from 100 metres. If you haven't been down there, it's like turquoise green water. And I'm not too afraid of sharks, don't mind jumping in, and sort of made the call as a teenager. If it gets close enough, I'll jump in, have a look. Oh, yeah. He's like, no, you won't. Anyway, it gets closer, but grows quite a bit at this point until it got close enough that it was close enough that I'd said I'd jump in on it, but probably that 50-50 about whether it was a great white. And the opportunity was definitely there and I wasn't doing it.
Yeah, wasn't taking.
So despite what I say now, the past has proven that I think I'll just stay on the shore.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I do know every dive master I ever met on whale shark boats, every single one of them, when they'd be starting, would talk about how they would love to dive with a tiger shark.
Yeah.
Every single one. And I reckon 25% of them, when the chance came, dive with a tiger shark.
Pulled
like,
out.
The others shat themselves.
Yeah.
It's and the way they said it to start with, there's nothing to worry about. It's like, there's
until there is.
Yeah. There's always something to worry about.
Yeah.
But you say, what size would you not? And they're like, oh no, any size. It's like, yeah, that changes quick.
Yeah, we can put that into practice.
Yeah.
Well, we're the only ones who dive with them, it seems, as a part of a tour, right? Like over on the East Coast, there's none of that.
Yeah, well, I was in Honolulu about a month ago, and I was talking to, because they get, like, their tiger sharks get a lot of attacks there compared to ours, like on the West Coast.
Yep.
There isn't that many.
Yeah.
But even the East Coast gets
They get
more.
attacks. Yeah.
But, yeah, I know, like, Leewolds and Jarby have had times where further up north on dive trips, some big tigers have had a crack.
At fish or them?
Nah, at them.
Yeah.
And I think Tim McDonald's got some footage of one where it's pushing him through the water with his gun in its mouth, sort of thing. And I know that the exact same thing had happened 12 months before at the same spot to another bloke. And, yeah, that sort of thing. But then, you know, genuinely, you know, most times there's no issues with them.
Yeah.
We used to chuck people, or we used to chuck, like, the dive masters and the videographers that wanted to film them.
Yep.
We'd chuck them in. We never chucked customers in with them, though.
Oh, no.
We didn't.
Okay, yeah. I did wonder that because I was keen to do it a couple of years ago, and I thought all the operators did it, but that was just the internet, I guess, being wrong and showing.
Yeah, I'd say so, just because, I mean, it might have, this was a while ago, so it might have changed, but, you know, just, I would never trust that some person doesn't just shit themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
And then when it turns around and sniffs at him, it's going to attack me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's the part of it, but I don't know. But, yeah, tigers, for whatever reason, seem to be a bit different all over the place. The ones in Hawaii, like, have some pretty brutal ones where they've, like, had multiple goes at someone as they're trying to get back to the shore, sort of thing. So
yeah, and do they know, like, if a tiger's there, they're like, oh yeah, we're out of here.
They weren't
just
really
carry
like
on.
that to me. Yeah, they were kind of like, yeah, they're all that, like, the operators I talked to, they were like, nah, it's always like the shark has made a mistake with the bite.
Yeah, okay.
But to me, that doesn't make sense if it makes the same mistake 20 times while the person's trying to get to shore.
Oh, it's still made a mistake.
Yeah,
Another one.
Oopsie daisy.
Yeah, like he makes them all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, I think you know, not giving the shark enough credit.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I did notice their turtles, like the average turtle, seemed a lot bigger than the ones we get on the West Coast. So I just wonder if their tigers are used to hunting bigger things.
Yeah, okay.
Like, even at a smaller size.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was one of the reasons how my dad used to get me in the water. The sharks, they're so well fed here.
Yeah.
And like, I guess there's some truth in that, but now sort of thinking this is a terrible dad comment.
Yeah.
And could easily backfire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing with anything you tell someone or tell yourself about sharks is, as long as it works, that's all you're going for.
Yeah.
And then you just hope they don't get eaten, and then everyone's like, oh, why'd he do that?
Yeah.
I didn't say nothing. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, back to some of the people you fish with. You were mentioning Eddie before, who's probably got one of the most, if not the most amazing record of winning competitions. For something that is hard to win multiple of, his numbers are insane, as well as his crew and Wes. Have you noticed anything from, like, just being that close, what you think makes them that good? As far, like, none of their fishing secrets, but mentality-wise.
Yeah, I guess the first biggest one here is, despite their exceptional record, when you bring a camera on the boat, it goes to shit. Yep. So every heavy tackle I've fished with Ed, you know, haven't done well, and like wherever you take the camera,
yep,
dog shit.
Goes to shit. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, there's one thing, and I think Wes talks about it in one of your podcasts, like, sort of joke about 99% isn't good enough, and, their, I guess, planning and organisation and just everything has to be perfect is something that I've noticed. And right at the time that I started fishing with them, I sort of tried to break into the oil and gas industry, and that's, that very much applies there. And I sort of saw with my own eyes that you can be like that, and there is benefits. And now I sort of feel like I do the same, like, especially with camera stuff and prep and gear and everything. Like, if you're going to do it right, or don't fucking bother.
Yep.
And I believe I might have been a pest at work, but I believe it did me good while I was at work as well. So that is the biggest thing to take away. And, it's probably the same it is the same. Corey over East is just as batshit crazy about catching them, like everything.
Yep.
Everything is about catching them. But that's all I know. They're the only people I know. The only people that I've marlin fished with until this year, when I spent a bit of time, did 2 days with Tommy Miller off Perth, and then did Send and Bend 2 days in Jurien with those guys.
What were they? Oh, that was blue marlin fishing as well?
All blue marlin fishing.
Yep.
So in a way, I've been totally spoiled.
Yeah.
I mean, there's my own boat, but that's my own sort of shit show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all I know. And yeah, I think if you had to put into words why they do so good, there's a bit of that. There's, but it's just the fucking time on the water.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Do you see similarities in mentality when you, like, obviously Tommy Miller's fairly successful in his own right with competition fishing, and obviously smacks the Jew fish whenever you see him going out.
Yeah.
Is that a similar mindset? Do you say that, or
I think
people find their own way?
Yeah, I think I guess without going into, it's sort of their story to tell, but they're a little different in the way they approach things. But the one thing is like time on the water.
Yep.
And that was sort of, did some filming with Tommy recently for Shimano, and we did, sort of like a morning to sundown filming. Had to get it done. Had to catch some amberjack, kingfish, sambos. Got that done. Filmed till the sun went down, and then he's like, "All right, let's catch dinner." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yep, righto," and just spot after spot after spot after spot. Like, they've got just spots, so many spots, and you don't get those without time on the water.
Yep.
And I think that's the, yeah. You can't fucking catch them on the couch.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always consider myself an okay fisherman, terrible captain. You ask me to catch fish, like take people out on the boat, hopeless. But you put me on a boat, I can cast, tie knots, I can work lures, I'm fine. But
yep.
I'm appreciating now that side of it is finding fish, putting people onto fish, finding spots, blah,
yep.
blah, blah. And, I kind of get to spend time with people who do it very, very fucking well.
Yep.
So, yeah, try and pick up as much as possible now.
Yeah. Is that where you started with your interest in sounders, or is that always?
Yeah, I didn't understand sounders in the beginning because I didn't have to, because I didn't drive the boat.
Yep.
But being Sparky Instro is sort of very relevant and fairly nerdy, pretty good at technical stuff. I filmed some Simrad stuff with Eddie and Buzzer, common theme here of people, and then right when I bought my boat, I didn't think much of it. I was like, I'm going to get a Simrad because I can ask people who are better than me.
Yep.
That's it. And I've got to find my own fish now. And then I got it installed, and what typically happens if I'm dog shit at something, I'll do my absolute best to correct that. And I sort of went down the rabbit hole, and then, I had the Black Watch of, which has got the most amazing sounder setup you've seen as a reference. I'm like, I want to put this in my boat. And then I just went fucking batshit crazy and
yep.
stupid. And then, learnt not everything, or a fair amount along the way until now, where I'm just, if I get a call from Eddie, it's generally like, how do I do this? What's going on here? This isn't, I feel like I'm tech support up there. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I got a fair understanding, and I went to great lengths on my boat to try and get the best image possible, and pretty much found every single possible way not to get it along the way.
Yeah, right.
And did stupid stuff like everyone's like, don't run your transducer cable next to your power cables. So I was like, okay. So I ran it along the floor one day and drove out to the shelf literally just to test it.
Yep.
Results, I don't think it makes a difference. In the end, I split them just because it'd keep me up at night thinking about it. But yeah, that's sort of where it kicked off. And it's the way that I see it is it's just an instrument. You just it's very fucking simple. You're just interpreting a signal into 9 different colors.
Yep.
That's it. So I feel like once you wrap your head around that, it's easy to understand. Doesn't help you catch fish.
Yeah. Well, do you see the other people that get upset about how much technology is used? Like, I'll be honest, I don't think anyone should use sounders or sunglasses, and they should stare at the sun for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Till you can't see fuck all.
Yeah.
And then just drive and guess.
Yeah.
Same with online dating. No phones. Stare at the sun for 20 minutes.
Blind dating.
Walk into a pub. Everyone's like, Squirrely, you're hitting on a chair. Fucking. That's my new wife. Do you see those people's points, or you think where the technology takes us, we go?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously a big supporter of technology because I'm like, oh, well, let's just stay ahead of it and we'll stay ahead of everyone else.
Yep.
But that's the thing. You can't set these, you say you ban something. As one person does it, everyone's got to do it.
Yeah. So like live scope and everything.
I've never done it, but I can, you think back to some of the reasons why you go fishing and, it's scenery and whatnot. And is it the same experience when your eyes are locked on a screen?
Yep.
And maybe, I can imagine I'd do it. I want to catch more fish. But is it the same?
Well, I have noticed, like, especially being down here, a lot of people seem to just be looking at their GPS and their sounder a lot more.
Yeah.
So I found some manta rays the other day just out from Woodies. And it wasn't just manta rays. It was this line of bait that went for probably 1.5 miles just in this line. There was like shitloads there, big krill balls. That's what the mannas were feeding on.
Yep.
But I seen that just from the birds.
Yep.
And was like, I was on my way home, but fucking, you're not chucking lures at that. But the amount of boats that just drove past, like steaming past, and I'm just like, there's no way you see this and don't stop. So you're just looking at your GPS. So, I mean, obviously there's a balance somewhere.
What did someone tell me? People look but don't see.
Yep.
Like exactly the same. I remember fishing on the Swan, teenager, on a Scout's jetty or something, and it's the one. I'm not going to burn any spots. It's on the freeway, but I don't even think it's there anymore. Anyway, there was like giant brim that used to sit on it, probably the same as every jetty, but the difference was they'd never eat. But you could see them. They'd be 2 meters in front of you, and you'd try and drift stuff down to them. Had an old guy like standing at the foot of the jetty, and he's like, "Oh, mate, there's no fish here." And it's like, nah, not. I mean, I'm looking at 20 of them. But no, and I guess that's it. People just look but don't see.
Don't see. Well,
but
I suppose that applies to your sounder as well.
Yeah, and that's I think you can, if you're in that top 10% of people who know how to use your sounder, and you got the rest of the fishing arsenal that goes with it, you're going to catch more fish. So I'm watching some of the people recently where the whole idea of searching for or fishing ground is almost gone because you're like, oh, yeah, nice one down there now.
Yep.
And look at it, it doesn't exist over here, but look at sonar
Yep.
for marlin fishing.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a cameraman, fuck, how much easier would my life be? None of this sitting there with a camera waiting.
Yep.
Just old mate captain's like, yeah, we've got one. Yeah, he's swimming down the left side. I can go to sleep way more.
Yep.
That, and they're literally talking about, yeah, we've got a fish. He's swimming down that left side. He's going to come on that right rigger, that right teaser, and boom, there he is.
Yep.
So,
yeah. I mean, that's an amazing, one shot as well, if you're able to see it ahead.
yeah.
Because obviously you're never looking that way to begin with.
Yep.
Unless you've got that. But to film it coming from the front to the lure would, amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's something that we've got, with the Blackwatch setup is you mark them and we start filming.
Yep.
Now. And obviously not every one of them comes up, but,
Yeah.
We marked one and we had a wahoo bite on a teaser, watch the footage. Because it's like, oh, yep, left teaser. And it's like, the fuck is that fish? Like, it's gone. You go back through the footage and you see this wahoo come through and it's super slow motion. He's scrolling across and the thing's there for 3 frames. I feel like it must have come in at, whatever they do, 80, 90 Ks. Like, absolutely smokes it. And you're like, oh, it's kind of pretty cool. You're like, oh, well, bring the teaser in. We're probably losing a bit of the rubber, bit of the skirt off it. But, yeah, there's been a few things like that, that you just don't know unless you mark it. But having sonar.
Yeah.
Put me on a sonar. Get me on a sonar boat.
Well, hit up Eddie. Some more improvements, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's having a refit. What's another 170K to add on?
Yeah, chump change.
Yeah, that's it.
If he started buying himself in the GameX Calcutta,
I can't afford it.
He'd be fine.
Yeah, doesn't he have to outbid you guys?
Yeah, he'll never do that now. We're too far up.
yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
Well,
I got my super contribution into that.
Well, here's a tip for you
Yep.
that you can delete off the podcast. If you hear that I'm filming with him, don't extend so much. Just cap it down.
Yeah. You might ruin the run.
All right,
We've been in profit for 5 years.
Yeah.
Even this year when he didn't win.
yeah.
We're like,
But that was out of the ordinary this year, wasn't it?
yeah.
So, yeah, no, just we'll do some talking. I think it's almost like insider trading or whatever. We'll work out.
Might get on Wes that year.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be the time.
Yeah.
We'll switch.
So, yeah, no, the camera curse. We try not to talk about it.
Just makes it not real.
Yeah. It's one of those ignorance is bliss. La la la. Stick your finger.
Yeah, right. Luckily, fishermen
Oh, yeah.
superstitious.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. Like in normal life, I wouldn't be very superstitious, but as soon as it comes to fishing, it just changes you because the one shot, and it's just like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
We had my old boss, he used to always say that the marlin came up when he'd go to sleep.
Yeah.
So he'd just lay on the bed, and I'm pretty sure he just wanted to sleep all the time.
Yeah.
You fucking take charge. I'll go to sleep, and fucking we'll bring him one up. Seemed to work.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, and still would be the biggest fish I've seen with Eddie.
Yep.
Had a good day. I think we caught 5. But the fish before that was stripe, and the weather was pretty shit, as you can imagine. And backing up into it, and this jet of water just shoots up from the transom. I like to stand at the transom, which is the dumbest place to stand with expensive electronics.
Yeah.
Shoots up and smokes the camera. And I didn't really get wet. Eddie's like, oh, check your camera. And camera starts doing funny stuff.
Oh,
and I'm
no.
like, oh no, what am I going to do? You got lithium batteries or whatever. It's like, all right, let's can it, and I'll use my that was my video camera. It's like, I've got one that I'll shoot stills and, I'll put it in rice or whatever. So that happened. It's the only time up until that point it's happened. And the next fish is the biggest fish I've ever seen there.
Yeah, right.
And it smoked the teaser. It was 10 minutes of, carnage. And it was...
Yeah, Big Blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Eddie sort of, 600, 650.
Yeah, right.
So, some of his estimates are somewhat low.
Yeah. The opposite to
a,
most, but yeah.
But just a different size, proper fish. And like, there's some cool photos, but it was the one that you wanted the camera for. And yeah, dead set, put the camera down 20 minutes before.
Yep.
So
when it comes to the footage that you've like done from these trips, is it the agreement you just put them out when you want, or it's discussed with Eddie, or
it's all for Ed, I guess. I never really thought there'd be a monetary return for it to me, outside of becoming some weird Marlin cameraman influencer, which don't sound silly to say it. So all my stuff would go to Ed, and yeah, whatever. Sometimes I want to do stuff, sometimes he want to do stuff, but ultimately it's, it's sort of my fun time. And one of the reasons it's fun is because I don't have, deliverables in a way. Like if I can just sit there and sort of enjoy it. And but it's probably a negative. Like I've got this opportunity. I've got the best fucking switch and tease boat in Australia, epic crew. Like I need to be doing more, which is on the agenda. I've sort of given myself a kick up the arse.
Yep.
To actually put out stuff. Like, who doesn't want to see more of their shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't want to hear more of his laugh?
Yep.
That's the best bit.
Yeah.
And
that was
sick.
my goal for every GameX or heavy tackle. Like I used to do the auction.
Yeah.
And like take the piss out of everyone.
Yeah.
And I'd always be happy if Ed's boat was first. And if he laughed, I was on.
Yeah.
If he
That's
ever
the
hadn't
indicator.
laughed, I was in trouble.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to go horrible.
Yeah. But the fit, like, what you can do on that boat, and the same as the Contender, just the way that they drive on fish, like that's where you're going to see the coolest shit, and that's what opens people's eyes when they're going, you get on the thing in 2 minutes.
Yep.
Or whatever, and it's going wild on the leader, or you're teasing the thing into the back of the boat. So, there'll be more. Do more.
Yep. So what have you got out from then now? You did the sailfish video that's out with all of the sails, correct?
Yep. So that was...
I think I definitely seen that.
Yeah, because you made a meme about it.
Oh, yeah.
Was it the Anchorman meme?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah,
I'm very erect right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was that. And then I just try and get up a couple of times a year.
Yep.
So realistically at the moment, I think, try and get up for a month over heavy tackle, and then whether GameX is in there, and then, if I could spend 8 weeks up there filming a year, I'd be stoked.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. So
Are there any fish that you enjoy filming that you didn't think you would before you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I only have one every podcast. Yeah. That's a good question. So.
I don't. Well, at the moment, sort of been filming a bit of jigging, and I guess ultimately it's sort of less exciting, right? You don't see, there's nothing on the surface that you see. It's kind of about that surprise. People go bottom bouncing because you don't know what's going to come up.
Yep.
But when you film, you generally want a certain thing to come up.
Yeah.
So you're sort of like, yes, fuck. So doing a bit of that at the moment, it's made me want to jig more.
Yep.
I mean, I like the visual side of it, but holy shit, we don't have access to GTs, but just had a month of salmon, thousands of salmon on the surface, and I've got access to, blue marlin on the surface. So I do, all that I can think about at the moment is actually catching dewies and slow pitch jigging. So
yep.
that probably extends into filming it
Yep.
as well. But yeah, I haven't thought it's all fucking good.
Yeah.
Some of the, still on the water, and a lot of people think that when I'm filming, I'm not fishing, and that's not the case. So something you pick up in game fishing that everyone catches the fish. Everyone has a place, something to do, and in the same sense, I look at game fishing from my part as filming, and to do that, the boys have to do their part, and then I've still got to do my part. And everyone wants to see the footage, so what we do is still, it's still fishing. I might not be winding it, but everyone does, their little bit, and it's not just me standing in a corner. Like I'm working with the guys. I'm trying to work out what I can do better. They're talking to me. What, does this work? Yeah, basically, I'm sort of waffling, but it's all still fishing, and in the way that you can lose a fish and it fucks it, I can miss a shot and it fucks it. So the other thing that I see that I love and froth over is the caliber of fishermen, especially at the moment that I get to fish with, like free lessons.
Yep.
You want to talk about learning. Not only do I get to see it, I can go back and watch it in slow motion. And it's, sort of laughing. A little while ago, I was trying to catch dewies, and I'm on the phone to Tommy Miller, and he's like, joking around. I'm like, fuck, you know anyone who wants to catch these? You know anyone that knows how to catch these? He's like, yeah, I reckon I saw a movie a couple of years ago on it. Guy catches a heap of dewies, because I'd filmed a clip with him catching a heap of dewies. He's like, why don't you just fucking watch that? He filmed it. So, yeah, the learning aspect is sick.
Yep. And,
a lot of, you do how-tos and tutorials and whatnot, but you just get to sit there, and it's obviously it's not all on camera. And it's like seeing you flicking that jig different, like what's going on there?
Yep.
Why are we fishing here?
Yep.
That's super cool. Super cool for me, and yeah, I might not be winding.
Do you think you'd also get that advanced look now that you're doing stuff for some of the lure companies when they're putting stuff out, getting to see, the more successful techniques with that?
Yeah.
And what seems to work the best?
Yeah, I think it's just a byproduct of fishing with different people.
Yep.
That's probably the biggest thing. Like over east, did some high-speed trolling, like 13, 15 knots. And I always joke that it doesn't... You've got to see something. You got to see to believe, right? You can fucking tell. Someone can tell you they call this fish, and it's like, show me a photo.
Yeah.
And high-speed trolling, I remember being like, look, I know it works. Like, obviously it works, but I'm like, not until I see it.
Yep.
And then you watch it, and you're like, holy shit, this works.
Yep.
And you can learn from that, and it sort of, it can happen for loads of things.
Yep.
So, yeah, seeing is believing, and just people from wildly different places.
Yep.
Yeah, you pick up heaps.
So with that, just like looking into the future of a dream fish to catch or film, or dream places to go film, what's in the future, or what?
What's on the list?
Yeah.
It's quite... I'd be pretty keen, and not as keen as some people, I'd be pretty keen to weigh one, weigh 1,000-pound fish, likely a black marlin.
Hang on,
I'll get to that.
Get a blue.
Yeah, but, you want to talk about, I want to see a fish on the Black Watch with the boys or whoever.
Yep.
I want to see a big blue, like a proper one, and be in a good position to film it.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
And it to do, I always hope it does the right thing, like their big one, but I'll take an opportunity to see one first, and yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
Seen one we called that Upper 900 at Cairns that was pretty cool to see up close. It was always heard your knees go a bit weak when you see a big one. I was happy to say the knees held on. But it's not the giants that you go there.
Yep.
And then it just, I guess, to expand on that, I'd like to go to, Azores or Verde.
Yep.
Where they're catching them,
Yep.
catching big ones and lots of them, or, a place like that, who knows where it's going to pop off next.
Yep.
So it basically is just revolving around seeing more fucking blue marlin.
Big marlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Just what did I say before? Just junky in a way.
Yeah.
You just put up with, just do all this shit just for what? 5 seconds of it eating a bait and then jump along for 10 seconds. You're like, holy shit.
Yep.
It's I'm fucking pumped for the next day.
Yeah.
And then you put up with the rest of the shit just to do it again.
Yeah, the rough weather just for it.
Mm. And I've come to the absolute total realization that I fucking hate rough weather. I don't even know if I like going offshore.
Yep.
But I'll do it because
Just
of
for
that.
Yeah. I figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah. I remember coming back from one of those Monty's trips and done 5 days, and I don't work on the water like a lot of people, and I was sick on the way back, feeling like shit, and Wes was like, feeling all right? I was like, nah, get me the fuck off this boat. Slaps me on the back, and he's like, still a land lover at heart. And I remember thinking, fuck off. I'm full ocean guy. I just filmed, this is me. And then the longer that I've done it, spend a month on the boat in Cairns, not even a full season.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, he was right. I'm way more happy on the land. But I'll absolutely punish myself and put up with anything, and just for the chance.
Yep.
And that day, first day filming on the Blackwatch spewing, certainly hasn't been the last.
Yep.
So
Set the scene.
yeah,
That was the tester.
yeah. I don't feel bad about it now.
Yep.
I'm just like, it is what it is. The clients don't care; they just laugh at me.
Yep. Now that's a cool origin story.
Yeah, but just blue marlin. I don't think anyone really catches them and then goes sort of backwards in a way, do they?
I think someone on the rod.
Yeah.
That can be it for them.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who've put that in their mind
As the best, the pinnacle.
Yeah, is going to be catching it on the rod. And some of them, obviously a lot of them, because they haven't trained their eyes or that, miss the initial hit.
Yeah.
And then they're just on a rod and say it's a prick of a one or say it's not. Either way, someone who hasn't done a lot and their adrenaline pumps and they just try and get it done in the first 5 minutes and just blow up. Yeah. That, I've seen it break a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you want to be the person that's not on the rod, see that hit and just go, holy shit, I want to see that again.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. With this client in Cairns, and he had a mate of his, but he was the one sort of funding the charter. So his mate came along, he's like, so-and-so is going to catch the fish, and the other fishing that we'll do, I'll be a part of that. But he wants to catch the marlin, I don't really mind. And it's like, don't worry, you've actually got the best job.
Yeah.
And then one of the days, the original client, he's like, if we catch a lot, other guy can catch one. And then you're sort of umming and ahhing. You could tell he just wanted to keep catching him. It's like, Dave, should take a step back. The best bit is when you see it. You stand back, you watch him catch it. You'll absorb so much more. You're not going to be focused on keeping that line tight. You're going to see stuff that you haven't seen, and that's just going to add to it. And did it, all worked out, both caught one, but he's like, you're right.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And that is sort of say that, just because you're not winding in doesn't mean you don't get to see it, and that's the best fucking bit.
Like you hit the nail on the head with marlin fishing, it's tame.
Yeah.
If anything, angler is probably least important.
It's probably one of the. I sort of see it as it's important, but it's the fucking easiest job.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
As long as they're adequate,
yes.
then they're fine.
Yeah.
Whereas, a lot more relies on a lot more people or a lot other people.
And that's something that you don't necessarily realise until you've done it.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't done it and you do it, don't be worried if you're not on the rod. Especially if you're drinking beers, you just get to sit back, give your mate shit when he's struggling.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Just, you're right, mate, you need another beer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that is the visual side of it. That's what will keep you coming back.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Do you have anything else to add?
No, that's me. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So just so people know what they should look for on your page or website or anything you've got to see some of the coolest videos, what do you reckon the average fisherman should look at? On
my stuff or in general?
Yeah.
Well, anyone who's had a passing interest in billfish should be following Peak Sports Fishing. Because you should already be following that. And then if you don't like blue marlin, you don't like salmon, you might be a bit disappointed on my page.
Well, you got the sailfish.
Yeah, that's it. But I generally try and just put up stuff that I really get my kicks off, which is obviously what I just mentioned, and a bit of behind the scenes stuff. But at the moment, filming for Halco and a bit of Shimano, so probably see some of my stuff on their pages.
Yep.
And that's it. If you've got stuff that needs to be filmed, well, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, hit him up, mum and dad.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. Well, cheers for chumming up.
No worries. Thanks, Squirrely.
Yeah, cheers.
Oh my god, what the fuck is happening right now? Dolphin in the killer whale's mouth? Holy shit. Oh, this is the best day of my life, God. What?
I like going down the pond chasing bluegills, kamikaze.